You love to see it. Sundown, I know you're someone so passionate about all these players and their stories behind them, and just talking about it, it's incredible. These names and how consistent some of them have become, how explosive they can be. Kaizumi comes to mind. We talk about Dubs too. First place again on those leaderboards.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that you can be so consistently good in one of the major regions, I mean, that's what also makes the Mr. Savage and the Benji Fishy. And I mean, these are the thing that still blows my mind. We've iterated on before. These are like 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, or most of the age of the qualifiers. To have the level of maturity to play the game at this level, to have the discipline to put in the hours to practice. Nobody is making you do this. You're going in and you're knowing, you're chasing your own dream and your passion. And the fact that they're taking a game that's meant to be inherently random, that has this stuff built into it, and they mitigate those risks to put on these types of performances every week, like, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I actually I've been involved in competitive games now for so long, 11, 12 years now actually that I've been watching, and I had this conversation with some top players from across different games, and I was like, what is it about these kids? Like, what makes this possible? And honestly, one thing that was really brought up to me that stood out was one of them said, when you are this age, and this is like, for a lot of these kids, it's their first big game competing in, they're so new to it, there's the awe of it all. They love every second of the grind. When they're just on playing playgrounds, when they're trying to get better in pubs, when they're maximizing their aim, doing edit courses in creative, they literally live for every opportunity to not only play the game but try to improve. They want to be the next Tfue. They want to be the next Cloakzy. They look up to Ninja, you know? And for them, it's an addiction to want to get better, to want to be, to just improve, because that's where they are. For other people, some of them have been competing across games now for 5, 10 years. You've got other responsibilities going on. You're a little bit older. There's things there's more to life to think about. And it every little bit takes you away from the grind. Meanwhile, these younger kids, that's all they're thinking about. All they want to do is get better, and they love every second of it.
Well, and a big thing there, too, you talk about the whole, like, almost being addicted to wanting to get better. One thing I've noticed with a lot of these guys, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's addicted to it, but they hate losing.
Yeah.
They hate it. More than, and I think it was Epic Whale, I think, in one of our interviews, he was just like, his big thing was like, yeah, winning is nice, but losing feels awful.
Terrible.
Whether it's being knocked out just outside the top 25, losing the one-on-one to get the victory royale, losing a creative against one of your teammates when you're just warming up. Nobody wants to be in this position, particularly when you are at this level, when you're in that top 0.001% of players and you're playing for a spot in New York City. You don't want to lose one engagement and have that be the difference. You want to win every single one of those, and that's what drives it, whether you are the player who has the ability to put in tons of hours, whether it's just school in Fortnite, or you're like the Psalms and the Twizzes of the world who have been around this for a while. Grind out a game plan, come prepared with that, and then execute on it. There's so many different ways for these players to be successful, and that's what it's all about, as now Vix picks up an Elam, and we're inside of that top 15 now. All of these players are trying to do everything they can.
This is great. I love this.
Yep.
Again, another player.
The door is so smart.
The littlest bit to just guarantee you can't take any damage right there. Vix moving forward. We're now into the top 10. Nate Hill still in this game, a name we've seen for so long in Fortnite competition. One of the highest earning players of all time. I believe top 5 in total Fortnite prize money earnings. Vix still peeking around, looking for where the next opponent could be. 2 shadow bombs still ready to go. Has that heavy sniper as well. And you know, some of these areas can be a little bit awkward to build in, so has an opening just to get out and reset this fight. And will actually land on the high ground. That is Dubs. Still spraying on down. Nate Hill, column frags in this game as well.
Yeah, Landjock picking up the Siren on that low side of the storm. You have Dubs, again, recently signed by Face with his duo Mega, dominating that high ground right now, utilizing that drum gun inside kind of that comfort zone of having the 100 medium ammo, so he's going to be able to just spray and punish as aggro goes down. Landjock picks up call-in frags as well, so now we're into that top 5. It's all about the Elims and the victory route. Jaden Shots goes down to the storm. Dubs is still pressing forward. Like I said, the best of the best aren't concerned with just barely making it. They want to win every fight. They want every point. as Vix gets Landjuck on the low ground. Dubs gets Nate Hill on the high ground. Now it's Dubs versus Vix, and Dubs rat-tat-tat-tats him straight to the face. 3 shots. That's how he got his 50th point. That's why he's in first. There's a reason he's one of the best solo players on the planet.
The guy's absolutely insane, and every time we watch him, it seems like he's getting better and better. Great final moments there, even down to when he decides to drop right there. Like, it doesn't look like much, right? You're like, oh, he's just going to go on up. No, the player down low had to get up an awkward elevation where he had to take out the builds to build a ramp to get up over that edge of the mountain. And Dubs knows this and drops down literally as the player is pulling out their blueprint to build, like down to the second. Insane stuff right there. Fighting now with this legendary infantry rifle, and well, that can't get much better than that for the free elimination right there.
I mean, you say free, but just the ability to pick that guy out of the sky. And again, we talk about these guys making their own luck. Yeah, you don't have to take those shots. Yeah, maybe that guy is full health, full shields, and you don't get the elim. But if you're not able to put yourself in a spot to have an angle to hit him, you don't ever know. Now over by Neo Tilted, which means there's going to be a ton of excess metal coming into this game. Players are all going to opt to build for metal, have their stores up there on board with Luminosity Gaming's Devious.
Well, this is one of our first ever games we've really gone over to Neo Tilted in any sort of coverage. Finally, a zone ending up here. We'll see how it plays on out. Again, this whole POI completely changed. So many new areas to learn, so many new layouts of these buildings. A healthy refresh to arguably the most popular landing spot in Fortnite Battle Royale. Devious with this grenade launcher, just looking to see what he can spot. As it seems 2 players on the top left of your screen have decided it's time to spray down on the Razzer, who's trying to stay alive for the moment.
Yeah, there's a big thing with Tilted too, is the fights have totally changed because of the layout and how the buildings are made. Not as much open space, a lot more of kind of real tight close quarters in here, which also makes it difficult to then rotate through, as all these players are going to have to move through. Devious using the grenade launcher in such a densely packed area to just try and drop whatever he can on top of players and force plays. You have Slappy and Sebi also over in the lobby. Devious now.
Did he just hit himself?
I think he did. That was an oopsies. I can say, cool guys, don't look at explosions, but make sure they aren't in your box.
Yeah, it's never fun. As Devious now will have to use all the remaining shields to make up for that blunder. Pushing through on this low ground. This is a very fast zone. Thankfully, that was the last bit of walls there. Trying to build on out.
And here's that natural building we were just talking about having to work through. And there's also that horizontal slipstream, which will just rip players across. You can't build around it, and you also just
look at everyone.
So we've seen players do this on a smaller level with the zip lines before, but now it's really difficult to hit somebody in there. However, I've seen somebody throw a grenade into one of those, and it will follow and go through and go off. So that being said, could see something ridiculous. Not going to happen here now, as Jintos is being gate kept a little bit. He will be able to rotate in. Everyone deciding to get out of the slipstream. No more slip and slides going on. Everyone's setting their feet back in. And we're back on board with Devious, and still not anywhere near the placement threshold. 32 players left.
Well, that grenade launcher will help, as nails one, does get tagged back, but remember, no shields left because they had to use them all up to that moment earlier. Grenade right into that box. Don't think it connected. Trying to follow it up. Doesn't actually find anything as of yet. The zone moving all the way towards this west side of Loot Lake. Devious burning through these builds quite quickly, down to just 55 now.
He doesn't have a shotgun or a drum gun.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. Probably going to opt for that suppressed SMG in the close range, but definitely going to be at a disadvantage unless he goes for the heavy sniper one shot instead. Goody going to just punish him for not having anything to deal with that close range, as now we go up to the high ground. There's Clicks being challenged right now by Kangura. Sebi right behind him as we're into the top 25.
Yeah, Clicks realizes that someone landed just like 2 levels above on the high ground, and instead of panicking and overbuilding, just says, you know what, no. Let me shadow bomb, let me move to the forward side of the zone, and look at how aggressive, immediately towards this player who is being sprayed at, recognizing they're probably flustered or weak, and yet can have the free advantage here. He does just that, and he'll pick up the heavy sniper too.
And also opted to not pick up the combat, sticking with that tack, going to rock that one out, but did get the heavy sniper, as you said, going to use that to try and punch through some of this metal, as the knot picks up 2 elims as well. You have Arkanji getting Tinijin, Go Vector getting class. You see Clicks there picking up G-Man on the rotation and still looking for more elims. Again, this is a player who has already qualified, playing for the prize money and playing for whatever practice he can get. But these are the players, if you're looking to get on that stage, go check out their gameplay. If they have the red blinking button, you can watch live. Also, the match history shows all of their replays. So go watch, go learn, as we're on board now with Race by Kings Triz.
Triz, spray with that drum gun. Quickly cleans up one on the edge of the zone, and look at the amount of ammo between this and the compact SMG. Can spray through realistically any wall forever in this game. Probably going to opt for this drum gun for the most part, though.
Yeah, particularly from the mid-tarp and having a player above him. Also has Clicks below him trying to pressure, and Clicks forces him down, does get the push from the ramp, but he's able to get over to the other side of the box. And Sebi does clean that one up as he's trying to disengage, so he's the benefactor of that as the non picks up a good edit to get over on the side. Boxes himself out though, so needs to keep his building clean. Owns the walls here, but the other player opting to push with the drum. Phaeton goes down. The name needs to push back in the box, and he gets one snipe KO as well. But Sebi drops down and cleans that one up, so now it's Clicks versus Sebi.
Clicks already gets a bunch of damage done onto Sebi. Sebi just a couple layers down. Clicks just goes for it, knows the health advantage, doesn't even need a challenge. Oh, a good tack shot does return, but yep, literally down to 5 HP. But what's crazy is Clicks knew. Didn't have to re-challenge. Yes, he got hit, got a little bit closer than I think he could have ever expected. But even in the end right there, knew that the opponent would bleed out before him. Nicely done by Clicks with the victory royale.
Yeah, seeing the white damage, if he does the math fast enough, he should be able to know, but sometimes it's also instinctual. You fired that shot off and you just know, I got it. I can hold fast. You just have to have faith, and he had enough of it there, picking up the elim, picking up the victory royale. Again, there's a reason he was the first player from NA to qualify for both the solos and duos. He is so good. I straight up remember I said to Zeke one of the first times we saw him, I'm like, we're going to see this guy a lot more. But his name was Clicks on YouTube, and I'm just like, hey, that's a good plug, but like, he's doing something right.
Yep.
And we've seen him be doing a lot right, picking up there and also being inside that top 10 as we're on board with Stimpy, who does his own little heavy snipe swap and swaps into that rare drum gun to then just spray down.
And Stimpy was staring at that for a while, waiting for the perfect moment. So now with 2 minis there, right now if you're a player, do you grab redeploy or let's say three shadow bombs?
Shadow bombs.
Same.
Every time. Shadow bombs every time.
Same.
In that circumstance. Just because like shadow bombs, we use the term, or at least I use the term working top down or bottom up, just the direction you can move. Shadow bombs have multiple options. Whereas Glide and Redeploy is only top down. 9 Breeze not being too aware, but we talked about it. Doing everything for your advantage. Jojo Pun dropping himself into the cone, the player thinking, hey, that's just a regular cone that's right there because it hasn't been built recently. He's been waiting for a while, hasn't been re-edited, and if you're not aware for a second, you'll be dropped out.
And you just can't tell when someone's in that brick cone that they're sitting inside there. Because right now, action calms for a second before these zones begin to move. Zayway TV on the top left, Schmecht very close to an opponent. As it looks like Schmecht wants to get in this player's box, definitely looking for some sort of assault rifle upgrade, I would assume. And 50 health from Siphon would put them at nearly max HP.
Yeah, would really wants to get that, sees the player hot swapping back and forth, knows he can push in if the player fires off. Okay, I was gonna say, when the player fires off the RPG, he could theoretically go right away because there is that reload time and you know he's gonna be hot swapping. That being said, he looks like he's just trying to wait for that opportunity. Does force himself back up and above. Now he's going to go for the wall. Does get the replace in there, but now the player has opted to disengage as the rotation comes out. And Tavera getting a little flustered right there. Had his blueprints out, but nothing left to build. It was all there. Couldn't quite catch the edit as Schmeck takes advantage, and we get closer to that first placement threshold as IFA gets taken down. And because we're going up the mountain, we see players either going early, popping those shadow bombs, or using whatever utility they have. Glider sounds coming out all over the place. got those heartbeats going on too as people bunny hop their way up the mountainside. But Canada is on the backside of the circle, ready to take advantage as Parallax also goes down just outside of that top 25. Topaz got the 3 points before self-eliminating to the Storm.
It's kind of interesting. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if you could almost make an argument to carry each type of shotgun depending on how you want to play certain moments, right? Like the TAC is so much better for that up close in the box type fights, where then you have the combat shotgun, which can hit for 70, as we just saw from 25 meters right there. Sure, it's not going to happen when you got a drum gun that can do both, but still, it's funny now how do you want range and precision, or do you want close quarters, just putting out consistent damage with attack?
Well, like I said, I think there's definitely the argument for both. I know we're both in agreement that the drum is certainly king, and kind of the only limiting factor as to why you wouldn't run one is either you don't have the medium ammo economy,
oh yeah,
or you didn't find one.
Ooh,
but
nice
we've
shot.
also started to see now, particularly with that adjustment in terms of the inconsistency on the combat's been putting in work. Like, even in these super close range fights, like, there are times where I'm just like, am I sure that's a combat and not a pump?
Yeah.
Like, because they're just putting down the shots. Like, Canada doing a brilliant with that, making sure he's squeezing in multiple rounds. Every one of these shots coming out has been 70 plus, and if you hit 2 of those right away, I mean, that's as good as most pump shots were. But Excels comes out of nowhere from 27 HP. Great elim there.
If your Excels, get far in and pop that campfire down. Oh, I would think he would do it right there, but doesn't appear so. Not comfortable where he's set up now. You got to go up the side of this mountain again. And I'm thinking everyone on that low side is not the best chance of surviving right here. Trevi dies the Storm. Air Cool very weak. AJ, don't think he can build. Does get a little bit of Air Cool, but again, it's still going up this mountain. Stimpy trying to shadow bomb, and Stimpy making the mistake of not going horizontally.
No, he'll be good because he can keep this forever. You can just keep wall jumping off that. As long as your feet don't touch the ground, you should be able to reset unless somebody else resets for him, which does end up happening.
Yep.
Throwing the ramp underneath him as Excels and Schmeck do eventually fall. Jojo Pun getting the credit for that one from the high ground, but now Stimpy, no builds left. Does have a heavy snipe, but only 72 effective HP. Needs to find something pretty here, and he's not gonna get it. Jojo Pun, I mean, you just talked about it. That mid-range combat shotgun, when you're aiming down sights, it's just a real quick, consistent 70 damage that comes out fast.
Oh yeah, and again, I haven't been able to play the update as of yet to the combat shotgun, but the verbiage going out earlier, making it a little bit more consistent there. The hotfix came out today. Again, this is NA East. The top 6 players will qualify for the Fortnite World Cup Finals in New York City later in the summer. Liquid Gabe currently boxed on up, just spraying on out with the uncommon infantry rifle, but not a lot of AR shots in the inventory.
Man, not a lot of AR shots. Also, no shotgun in there at all. So also, real quick, use that hashtag Fortnite World Cup.
Yes.
Tag Courage and I in it. Which shotgun do you prefer right now between the tactical shotgun and the combat shotgun? Or do you prefer no shotgun at all in terms of your close quarter combat? Are you rocking something else? What are your loadouts looking like so far in Season 9? And what are your thoughts on that combat shotgun? Share with us. We'll go through. Maybe we'll share some of the best responses up on the board. Who knows? As Gabe now, a player who was in that top 10, rotates on over to the horizontal stream and then uses it to throw himself a little farther and a little faster over on the far side of the zone. So that's one thing about those horizontal slipstreams, excuse me. If you're not aware of it, particularly on initial drops, you can hit them and be thrown out at a higher velocity and land lower. So just a quick little way to maybe gun raise somebody or chest raise somebody. As you see Sway here, picking up Blue Tea, utilizing the drum gun in that 2-box range and just piling the shots in.
Big conversation right now is how a lot of controller players this week excelling with the new meta that's come on into play. A lot of conversation about, just how comfortable they feel with that spray weapon and the drum gun, the ability to kind of control their aim inside those close quarter boxes. Sway showing it off right there. The drum gun, that multi-purpose tool, it's like a Swiss Army knife.
So I'll definitely agree with you there in terms of Issa. Felt like a really solid Issa buff. The one thing I do want to say and give a shout out to Let's G for is the fact that he was 1 point off of qualifying in week 3, and he was so close to being that first controller player to end up qualifying that I wasn't really surprised that he ended up going through. And another, like, I know he's a big proponent of the people who kind of do a little bit of the trash talk about like the L2 stuff. He really doesn't like when people end up throwing that out there. His last 3 elims, like we saw in the final game, all trap elims, straight up 1v1 running at people, just trying to trap them, being like, hey, you don't think we can build and play these box fights like other players? I'll show you wrong.
Right now, right?
Yep, exactly. Being able to put those plays in there. But that being said, 3 controller players now have joined the other 51 players who have made it. Couple more spots to give away here today as we're on board with Defy. Hasty picking up B-Hegs there now, and Defy trying to fight a beat on this player with that Shadow Bomb, using that combat shotgun. Gets a nice little shrubbery trimming going on there. Bush gonna be knocked off, but not gonna find quite any damage as he gets. See, that's what, like, I feel like if he just stuck to the combat there, he would have been fine, but instead goes the natural instinct to swap over. Does pick up the elim. Takes 4 storm damage ticks, luckily going right back towards him.
Yeah, I think the main thing there is just like, it's still the natural instinct of swapping off the shotgun to a spray weapon, but then you also add in the fact that literally the drum gun is the most consistent weapon up close because of how tight the spray pattern is. You've got 50 bullets, you know the exact damage you're gonna get. And Defy shows it right there, actually takes the time to pop the med kit, doesn't panic pop that slurp juice. We'll save that for a little bit later in the game. Caillou with his first alert.
Put a trap down by his launch pad and got end pen.
Wow.
That's 200 IQ. I know it's something we saw Ninja do in the semifinal, I believe, in week 3, which was absolutely brilliant. And he was talking about, it's like, yeah, I'll just throw this down here in case. And then it was like 5 seconds later, boom, got an elim. So, like we said, every interaction, every small little thing, if you're not aware or somebody is slightly more proactive, it can cost you. As Caillou now into the top 25 with decent positioning, but he is hurting on ammo.
Yeah, not the most fun spot to be in. Spray coming out right now. 19 shots in total for the assault rifle, 7 for the heavy sniper, and under 20 for that shotgun.
Yeah, 13 in there, already has 8 in the clip, so doesn't even have a full reload going through. Was able to pick up a nice elimination onto Clarity and then wait out for top 15. But if he wants to pick up a victory royale here, he has to pick up an elim, and
like
there
that.
it is. It's
Didn't get the ammo. Didn't get the ammo. The ammo slid right past on the right side. Didn't get any of the ammo.
Not at all. He got the builds, but no. Hello?
Okay.
Diamond? You good?
Caillou still in this fight. Didn't get the ammo again. Still didn't get the ammo.
More mats, though. He needs to go in for some of that ammo. No, instead,
I guess it's tack shotgun the
I'm
rest of the game.
rocking what I got. I'm going with the common tack, and that's going to be it. If I said those words last week, you would have called me crazy. But
Yo,
now,
for real.
Caillou trying to just run it out, and so far it's working, getting his reloads in, but also just being patient, knowing he doesn't have to force because he's almost into the top 5, and he gets the 5 for the top 5, and he's in it, pushing into the box with a heavy sniper, not slowing down. KD goes down, but Kaze turns it around, and that's the top 3 now. Severe on the high ground, Laggy's on the tarp beneath it, Kaze on the low ground, Severe in your top right, Laggy in the bottom right as he sprays into the box and picks up Kaze. Looks like we'll get a resolution shortly as the spray fight goes down, and Laggy drags his shots back across him. Severe doing his best.
Severe just choked that.
To paint a picture of everything but Laggy's character model. Was so close, but Laggy looks like his ISP was doing fine there. Zeke, what do you got for us, man?
Guys, these games are insane, all right? What more could you possibly want? I don't know, let's ask Bala, who has some clips for us. Bala?
Yeah, I definitely have some clicks for us, because we do have clicks in this one. I got you, Zeke.
Got me.
We have 2 young guys who have qualified already in the World Cup to New York. Dubs here. He sees an opponent in there and then places stairs and just forces his way up through on his stairs, phases up, and look at the things that he does. I mean, he was fighting for high ground right there. Immediately, as soon as he was countered, he's reacting. He's reacting so ridiculously fast to everything that happens on the screen. This is the exact same thing that Mr. Savage, Mongrel, Mitro, these type of players, we know how good Dubs is. He's already qualified. So this is basically a story of why did he qualify? And it's because he does so much at the same time. Every time he looks for an elimination, he gets one. He looks, can I get the mats? Should I go for the next elimination? Should I go for a heavy snipe? Should I go for this? The timing there too to get Vix to say, okay, you're moving out right now, let's go. But now it clicks. We talked about it. Here's a nice, he actually walked up to this box, boxed himself all around, and then went for the wall replace, got it. And then this is ridiculous. Look how quick he is getting up on a different layer, using the cone to jump up, gets there, and then knows that player is back there because he had looked there before to try to place a wall, almost got the wall, and then continues. Look, edits the floor. Am I going to get an opportunity down there? No. Let's look up. Heavy snipe up top. Just every single second he is doing something else. And Courage talked about this. He sees there the white damage right there, 63. He knows it's at most 4 ticks in the zone. That's his cue. I'm going to start boxing, trying to box you out. You see, he tried to place a wall, but it almost goes in the opposite direction. He's at 5 HP to end this game. Clicks, you're ridiculous, but you do end up getting it over Sebi. And it was interesting. They had a bunch of fights for high ground. Clicks and Sebi. Clicks was just like, no, I'm out. I had a shadow bomb. I'm just going to leave. And then they end up fighting again. We talked about the first game, Zayt and who was it? Buck ending up fighting from height down on low ground. These stories, these little interactions, they end up really mattering.
Well, not too long ago, we took a look at the standings. We saw them shift. Let's take a look again and see if anything has changed. Everything is just actually, people have just been jumping up and down the leaderboard. So suddenly Zayt's up in second.
Yeah, trades. They're trades. And Dubs hasn't moved much since that last time we saw him. So that lead that was about 10 points or so, maybe had one off game, you know, got eliminated early off spawn or something like that. So Zayt is starting to catch back up. Clicks up there. We saw his crazy performance. That's why he's up there right now. Rogue Shark we already saw. And then some of the other players, Buck starting to drop a little bit. You definitely want to have a redemption game or something like that after you were in first place before. You want to get back up there. Vix was in one of those games. Sebi got second place in that game against Clicks. And then Vice, we saw he dominated in that one game. So halfway about, except the issue here, Sebi, like, look at this right now. 8 out of 10 matches played, so he's only got 2 more that could end up being bad for him. If he doesn't have 2 good games, that's the issue. Look at the rest of these guys that have 5 to go. They're probably not too worried about time, right?
Yeah, I mean, if Sebi did have like a 15-point game, he'd be in first over Dubs. But like you said, he's only got 2 games to work with. Last week we saw Nate Hill and Funk Bomb. I mean, with 2 games, they exploded in and qualified. So it
also kind of takes the pressure off, right? You're not going to go for those hot drops, right? When you're watching, for us, we only tune into the end game, so we never see these players when they're like, oh, I have a game to waste. Let me drop Neo Tilted, for example, or Mega Mall or something like that, and go for those hot drops. So he doesn't have that pressure. He doesn't have to make that choice with 2 games remaining.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are going to go to a short break. When we return, we'll have more Fortnite action on deck. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.